Get started whenever you're ready, Coach.
All right, guys, tell the truth Monday. I thought our team, just like I said after the game, competed very hard, prepared well. The will to win on the sideline was there throughout 60 minutes of the game, evident on our last drive by the offense, a 15-play drive. A lot of young players got a lot of valuable playing time, competed very hard. I give Alabama credit, outstanding football team. They played a great game. There's some great players on that football team. And but you know what? We got to bounce back today. We got to get ready for Florida. Another great football team on the road, explosive offense. Some of the things that we have to eliminate, and obviously, as I said all season, explosive plays, especially in the passing game. Got to get better pressure on the quarterback. I was pleased that offense scored 17 points. We missed that 4th and short going in to tie the game 7-7. Could have been a difference in the ball game very early, and we didn't get that done, so we have to improve on that stuff. But I thought overall, offensively, we made some improvement in some areas. Any questions?
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Is there any advantage to getting Max Johnson a start in a game and knowing that he's going to be a full-time starter in a week?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to give consideration to this week and look at it. I thought Max played very well. I thought also TJ did some things. That is something we're going to give consideration for this week.
Yeah, I mean, you past couple of weeks you've talked about defensive scheme. You talked about players too. Like you've said, can we call plays better? Can we play better? Yes. I mean, throughout the weeks, what's been kind of the core thing that you found schematically that's not working? Is it just different game plans, in-game adjustments? What are the things that you're seeing most?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of it. Everything that you said has happened at some point in the season, and then also execution. I mean, it's a combination of both of them.
Hey, Coach. Ed, New Orleans. Good afternoon. Coach, do you think based on all the people you lost in the NFL to the draft and all the people you've lost from the summer on to now, that the expectation for this team was too high, and why are you so bullish on the future?
Because I'm a competitor, and we had LSU. But you know what? It's hard for me to look at, hey, this is what we lost, this is what we don't have. I always kind of look at what we do have, and I do believe we have some outstanding freshmen that we need to learn how to play. And, it all started there with playing poor defense in the beginning of the year. And we were playing good offense. We were scoring 40, 41 points, and then Miles Brennan got hurt. So there was a lot of blows throughout the year that this team took, but I still think there's fight. I still think that we have a great recruiting class. I love the freshmen that we have on this football team, and I think that with 1 or 2 recruiting classes, we will build championship teams again. I feel like we can do it. I think maybe 3 years ago after we lost to Troy, nobody would ever predict that we would win a national championship, have one of the best football teams in the history of football. We did it, so I do believe we can do it again.
And Ed, you talked about from against Texas A&M. You said that was the best the defense had played all year.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at all by how the Alabama game turned out? What was the main thing that kind of?
Yeah. Well, Alabama's a different offense than Texas A&M, number one, and they're very explosive. And I think they were scoring 48.5 points per game, 500-something yards of offense. So they've had a very successful season, outstanding quarterback. I was surprised that we couldn't get a better rush on them, to be honest with you. I was real disappointed that we jumped off sides 3 or 4 times, I think twice on 4th down, and then again, the ability to stop the explosive plays. I thought they were going to make some plays, but, in the second half when Stingley was on Devontae, I thought he did a pretty good job. I wish we could have got him on Devontae more in the first half. Formations and stuff dictated that we couldn't. We had a couple of busts. Sometimes we were supposed to double them, and we didn't. So there were some misassignments, some errors on that part. But you got to give them credit. They made the plays.
Coach,
Coach, kind of got a little bit of a two-parter for you. I mean, we kind of noticed that Stingley was, kind of limping a little bit in the second half. I mean, just kind of what's his status moving forward, and also, this obviously this season hasn't gone exactly the way you guys had hoped. But I'm just curious, just how much you're talking about building confidence and momentum for 2021. With your younger players in particular, just where those
yeah. First of all, Stingley had a slight injury in the beginning. I think it maybe been the second quarter or something like that, and he came back and he fought. I think he's going to be fine. I talked to Jack this morning, so he's going to be at practice today. We don't talk about 2021. We talk about finishing 2020. I got to give credit for all these guys that stayed, that didn't opt out. We want to finish strong. I think that you saw the willingness to compete to the very end against a very good football team was there, and I expect that throughout the season.
Hey, Coach, good morning. Couple of quick questions for you, if I can. First off, Missouri, you were first and goal, a few inches away to win the game, and last couple of weeks, your first possession of the game, you've been marching down the field, but short yardage has just killed these drives.
Yes.
Just what's your evaluation of the short yardage this year, and when Scott Linehan's supposed to be, this is his specialty in terms of moving the ball?
Well, short yardage is still Steve. Scott is third down, but not third down and short. We didn't block the edge very well on that play. I wish we'd have snuck it. And we should have snuck it. We shouldn't have took the ball off the line of scrimmage, but we didn't. We thought we had a play there. We missed. We had a cut block. The guy jumped around it and made a tackle for a loss, but that was a very decisive play. I'm not saying it'll change the outcome of the game, but it could have put us up 7-7 against the number one team in the country and gave us a little momentum. So I thought we'd have learned our lesson, but obviously we didn't. It's something I got to get better.
And Coach, when we think about Florida, we think about Dan Mullen and offense and all that, but I looked and saw that they're leading the SEC in sacks. They apparently really get after the quarterback. What kind of challenge is that for your offensive line?
Protection again. Protection again. We're going to have to win some one-on-ones. They're very talented up front. I know their defensive coordinator very well. He was a defensive line coach. He teaches great technique, and it's going to be a challenge for us.
And at first, just didn't look like Jordan Tolles was on the sideline. At least I couldn't see him Saturday. What's his kind of status right now?
Yeah, I think Jordan's going to be fine. I think he should be back for this week.
Okay. And then also, obviously your offense did have to change when Miles Brennan went down and whatnot. So I'm curious, does the way you judge how your offensive staff's doing, all these things, does that change when the season changed when you rely on two freshmen?
Those are all things, Brody. When the season's over, I'm going to look at it. But right now, our focus is on Florida.
Hey, Coach Garland Gillen here in New Orleans. You have 20 verbal commits for your 2021 class. Are you going to reassess maybe who gets those last spots because of what's happened on your offensive line? The depth hasn't been there this year, and probably could say it's not one of their better performances this season. Is that something you're trying to get with the line?
Yeah, obviously, offensive line is a priority for us. And we only have one commitment right now. So, yes, there's a sense of urgency there. I do believe we're in on some big-time players. I do believe we're going to have success on one or two. We may need a junior college player or maybe a graduate transfer in that area. So I have to hold a couple of scholarships for graduate transfers. We had a roster management meeting this morning, and that subject did come up.
Hey, Ed, you touched on this a little bit already today, but I'm just curious, how, with where y'all at in the season, do you balance still trying to win now, like you said, but also figuring out what you have in these freshmen and these younger players that make up such a large part of your roster?
Well, Wilson, to be honest with you, we're doing it already. They all playing. I mean, it's not like we're saving for the future. It's what we have, and most of the players that are playing for 2020. It just so happens that most of them are young players.
Go Nation.
Hey, Coach. Paul Boron from CST. Two-part question about DeRay Jenkins. What drew you guys to him in recruiting, And what can you say about his development, especially this year, but since he's been on campus?
I'm very proud of JaMarr Jenkins. He had some hardships, losing his mother, and he never blinked. Got a great coach, high school coach, great family. Has turned into be one of our team leaders. Has developed. Came here from junior high school. We liked it. We liked his tape. We liked the way he caught the ball. We liked the way he ran routes. Has developed into an outstanding receiver and really one of our team leaders. He's one of my favorite stories at all. To see how much he's grown as an individual here at LSU.
Coach Cooter Hobbs and Lake Charles, when it comes to so-called re-recruiting, what tack or how do you have to balance that, and what do you use in those discussions?
You're talking about keeping our guys
Yeah,
from going out
of the
early.
draft.
Yeah. Well, we're doing it.
Portal.
We're doing it. I promise you, doing it on a daily basis. And I've talked to most of the guys that about coming back. Some of them are dead set on going, obviously. Now, some of them are still considering coming back, so we're still talking to them on a daily basis. Obviously, you have to worry about the season here, but that has been addressed with most of our players on that. We want them to come back. We'd love them to come back and where they're at and talking to their families.
Well, what is your sales pitch, I guess, would be it?
Well, development, stay another year. Some guys stay another year and make $10 million by staying another year, get drafted higher. It all depends where they're at, where the draft grade comes back, if they're a first round, second round, third round, lower round player, and maybe come back and have another year and develop and get drafted higher.
Coach, with just a few games left in this season, I might be jumping the gun here, but have you and your staff talked about what the way the bowl eligibility is this year with everybody pretty much eligible?
Yeah.
Is there a scenario where you wouldn't accept a bowl invite this year?
Well, first of all, that conversation has never come up about a bowl or not a bowl. So we're concentrating on Florida. Then obviously we're going to be concentrating on Ole Miss. Then after that, we're going to see where they invite us to go, and then that's going to be discussed. But as far as for me, that has never been discussed.
Hey, Coach, this is Shane Dixon with 24/7 Sports. What have you liked about Max? You said that you'll think about, maybe starting him this weekend. From the times he's been able to come in the game, how much has he developed, and what does he do well out there?
Yeah, I thought he looked his best against Alabama. I thought he was crisp. I thought he went through his progression well. I thought his ball came out very well. He threw very catchable balls. He can scramble. He can run. I think he's tough. He's a hard worker. So is TJ. I think both of those guys are very similar. I thought Max played his best game.
Hey, Ed in New Orleans again. Couple of questions. How long do you think it takes for a player to figure this league out, no matter how good a player they are in high school?
Yeah.
And two, will the opt-out mania change the way you recruit now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think players at different levels, Ed, according to their athletic ability, their maturity, their background, it seems like to me the guys that come in at mid-year graduates tend to have a higher success ratio their freshman year, but some of it take a while. And then I think so. You see guys at different levels, and yes, the opting out and stuff like that. It's just your roster is so fluid that you have to keep up with. I meet with it on every Monday on roster management and where we at and what's the future look like. And then obviously for us, graduate transfers at key positions have been very successful for us, and we hope that we can do it again.
Coach, would you like to go to a bowl if that happens? And what's some of the things that, like the extra practice, another chance to play?
Yeah, sure. Another chance to compete, another chance for young players to get better, more practice time. Sure, I always like another game would be great with me.
Do you see those bowl practices sometimes as kind of like a mini spring?
Yes, and we need it. And these guys didn't get spring ball last year, so these young players need a mini spring. Usually it's 12 to 15 great practices. So yes, I think it's a big-time advantage.
Hey, Ed, President Tom Galligan, he's talking to the media right now, and he's talked about how Hush Blackwell, they've given them some documents about the investigation. Have they reached out to you and your staff yet, or how does that work?
Yeah, you know, I'm not going to talk about any of that. You know, I made a statement, and I'm not talking about none of that.
Okay.
Coach, what's the initial defensive approach you're going to take with Florida? They do have 3 players that are tops, and not even in the conference, but in the country as well, and touchdown catches.
Yeah.
You kind of like you did against Alabama. What might be a different approach you're going to take this week?
Yeah, we got to know where that tight end is for sure. He gave us fits last year. A great player. And Kyle Trask is an outstanding quarterback. I think he has 38 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Tough, can run the football. Got a great offensive line, a lot of speed. You know, we're just getting started on Florida, but obviously, you know, we worked on Florida this summer. Then we had time to game plan on Florida, then the game got canceled, so I think we're a little bit ahead. So we're looking at the last 5 games and marrying those 2 game plans, but today's only the beginning.
Hey, Coach, Steve Moulton, WZZN. You mentioned the Troy game back in 17, and you played Florida that following week, and really no one was expecting to win that week. But I was wondering, at least carrying momentum late into the year, how important it is with this team, considering how young you are.
It would be a great finish. It would be a great finish, and start with Florida. What an outstanding challenge. Team's 8-1, we're going to play in the swamp. And, you know, we just got to play our best football. We have to play our best football to be able to beat Florida. But, you know, we've got to take care of LSU first. They pose some problems. But we got to put our cleats in the grass, eliminate explosive plays, score more points on offense, and play great on special teams to even think about beating them.
Hey, Coach, I got a quick 2-parter for you. The first one would just be kind of the one-game emergence, I guess, of Keyshawn Butte, just to kind of take over for Terrace catch-wise, other than maybe dropping the ball before the goal line. Mm-hmm. Looks like he had a pretty good game.
Outstanding. And we've been pleased with Keyshawn ever since he come in. And the day that JaMarr Chase left, he had a great day out there, and he battled through some injuries and stuff like that. I'm glad to see we're getting him the ball. I think he's going to be a fantastic football player for us.
The second part was just on Trey Bradford. Was that more of an emergence during practice through the week, or is Chris Curry hurt?
No, it's something we wanted to do. We wanted to throw him the wheel route out of the backfield. That was specific plays for him. You know, Trey could even be a slot receiver. He's that talented. I talked to him a little bit, maybe playing running back, maybe playing some receiver, and he's open to it. So it may be something that we can do with him in the future.
Hey, Coach, this is Josh Sibley with Louisiana Gridiron Football. You mentioned earlier seeing Kyle Pitts and him giving you guys fits. Has there been any game plan, maybe throwing Eric in with the scout team offense to give the defense maybe some of that same look with a 6'6", 240-pound tight end?
Yeah, it'd be a good idea. It'd be a good idea, but I don't think that Coach Insmaker wants to give him up for the scout team.
And I got a couple as well. I guess we'll probably close out. We're getting close to Kyle Trask. What makes him such a unique and have so much success this season?
You know, I had a great opportunity on my year off. Dan Muller and I have a great relationship. He was a GA at Syracuse when I was leaving to go to USC. I've always thought he was an outstanding coach. I knew his offensive line coach, so they asked me to go speak at their clinic. I spent 4 days there, and I asked him in recruiting, and we talked about recruiting, he and I asked him, what is the number one factor you look in the quarterback? He did not hesitate. He said toughness. And the guy's tough. He's tough. He's a competitor. He found him. He's a diamond in the rough. I think that, you look at 38 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, the way he operates, the way he finds the guys. Dan's a great game day caller. He knows exactly what to do with his quarterback. So I think it's a combination of a great quarterback and a great caller.
And then finally, you had some players on your team had really good success last year. And I know, obviously, the guys around them helped that. but this year they've struggled, and you alluded to it early. Maybe having that defensive letdown right out of the gate. Do you feel like that's been a long-term factor that's kind of lingered maybe longer than it should as far as your team performance?
You talking about during the game, like
to kind of have the expectations of a national championship, and then to have that just steep drop off so fast. You feel like that's kind of changed their mindset in a way that's made them less competitive, maybe less motivated?
I didn't see that in practice. I'm telling you, we had some great practice last week. Last Wednesday was one of our best practices. Tommy Moffett monitors their energy, their output during practice. There has not been a drop off, so that hasn't been. I got to give the players credit. They've hung in there and they've practiced and played hard for us.
Hey, Coach, when you see John Emery rip off a run like that against the number one team in the country, an electric run, you know, everything that we heard about the guy. Why don't we see more of that, or what is the secret to getting more of that out of him?
And we should. And, we ran the stretch out of the pistol. It was an outside zone. We haven't run enough of it. And it was blocked very well. And we should do more of it.
Ed, what did you think of the move to put Torrey more kind of in the tight end spot and Eric more in a receiver spot? And how do you think Eric did? Would you like to see a little bit more physicality from him because assert himself because he's such a big player?
Yes, yeah. Well, I think Eric Gilbert is a phenomenal football player, and I think the more time we can get him the ball, the more success our football team's going to have. It was very good to have Torrey Carter in there to see his physicality on offense and also catch the ball on the bootlegs and turn it up and then, be very physical on collision. So I think the combination of those two guys in the game is very helpful to us.
Coach, have there been any players, not necessarily this weekend, but throughout the season that were about to opt out, about to transfer, that you were able to bring back and convince to stay? Has that happened?
Glenn, I can't recall guys that came to my office, but most of the time that when they opted out, most of them come talk to me, and I try to convince them to stay, but they had already made their decisions for one reason or another. So I can't recall us ever convincing one not to opt out. The only one that came back was Neil Farrell.
Right.
One more for Cobble.
Coach, you talked about the roster management meetings. How do you approach that? And then when you have these guys, if you could educate me a little, how does it work if you have these guys opt out? Do you have scholarships available to go into the transfer portal or the JUCO ranks and fill those?
Yeah, I wish they gave us more, but they don't. We have 25 initials, and that's it. And just because a guy opt out, you don't gain another initial. That's what makes it tough to get your roster back to 85. And it's not my call, but hopefully in the future the NCAA changes the rule to where you can have more initials depending on guys opting out or juniors going to the draft early to get your roster back to 85.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you guys. Go Tigers.